Hola, hola. Hello, hello, my beautiful midlife queens. Welcome once again to the Midlife Reinvention Queen podcast. I'm Lorena Vasolo, your host, the Midlife Reinvention Queen. And this is Midlife Unfiltered, Unhinged, Unapologetic. This is where we unhook from all the BS and narratives about women in midlife, and we reclaim ourselves, our joy, our passions, our pleasure, our desires, our dreams, and step fully into our midlife queen era. And today's episode is all about the pleasure rebellion. This is all about redefining pleasure, desire, and power in your midlife and beyond. So let's dive in, my beautiful queens. Let's talk about pleasure. And that word alone might stir something in you. Curiosity, maybe resistance, maybe longing, maybe discomfort. Whatever it is, just allow yourself to feel it. And the word pleasure carries quite a weight in our society, and especially when it comes to us women. Because for so many women in midlife, pleasure can feel like such a foreign language, something we were taught to suppress, maybe to earn, maybe to feel shame or to feel guilty about. Or maybe there's such a disconnection, right, to ourselves, to our bodies, to our pleasure, to our passions, to our feminine fire and sensuality. And we have been taught and raised to believe that productivity equals worth, and that sacrifice makes us good, and that taking care of everyone else first makes us valuable as women. So that's what we need to unhook ourselves from, that mindset, those beliefs that don't serve us, because first of all, they're BS, they're not true, right? We are inherently valuable just because we are, right? And our worth is not attached to anything. Our worth and our value comes from simply being born, and it's inherent. And we don't need to sacrifice ourselves or to be, and we don't need to sacrifice ourselves to be valuable, to be good, and to be worthy. And pleasure is such a powerful topic, because for most women, and pleasure is such a powerful and important topic for us women, especially when we arrive in midlife, because for most of our life, we have been rewarded for suppressing our pleasure, for being the good girl, for being the responsible one, for being the dependable one, for being the accommodating one. And you've been celebrated for overgiving, overdoing, overachieving, overfunctioning, for not feeling too much, for not asking for too much, for not being too loud, for not being too dramatic. You've been always celebrated for putting your desires and your passions and your pleasure secondary, right? And I mean, even if you talk about pleasure just in the realm of sexuality, how many women have faked orgasms? Think about that. What it really means. It means that you are not only neglecting yourself and suppressing and not honoring your body, you're overriding yourself, you are self-abandoning yourself, and at the same time, you are performing. You are performing how you are expected to, or how you're supposed to, or how it pleases the other. And at the same time, you betray yourself. And this becomes, and that's just one example, one very global example, right, that comes up when we think about pleasure and we associate it directly with sexuality and with sexual pleasure, and how so many women have faked their pleasure in their course of their lives. And in that same sense, we perform and we prioritize what the other person needs and wants from us, and what the other person needs us to become or to say or to do, or how they need us to behave, over what we need, what we want, and what honors who we are. And this happens not just in the realm of the bedroom. Of course, it happens in every instance in our life. It could happen in how we mother, how we show up with our family, how we show up in our friendships, how we show up in our work. It happens in every area of our life. That's why pleasure and overriding our desires and our inner voice is such an important conversation, because pleasure doesn't just talk about sexual pleasure. It talks about our inherent ability to honor ourselves at all times and in every area of our lives. And now when we arrive, and as women, when we arrive at midlife, this way of living, this way of pretending, performing, self-sacrificing, overgiving, overdoing, being hyper-independent, hyper-vigilant, on survival mode, overriding our desires, ignoring, neglecting our pleasure, our passions, and being disconnected from our bodies to please everyone else, to keep the peace and to keep everything going and just pushing through, starts to crack. This way of living starts to crack. We can no longer continue, right? Our bodies are saying no more, right? Our hormones are also saying, hey, we're done here doing life this way. This is not working, right? We're shifting, we're changing. There's parts, and that's why the more we accept and embrace this change for what it is, it's not just that our hormones are changing. It's our entire way of being, our entire identity, our entire way of living and doing life that is changing and calling us to embrace this change and upgrade ourselves so that we can be more who we are, and we can stop betraying ourselves and start aligning and honoring ourselves more and more and more. And that's why when women arrive at midlife, you usually feel that everything is falling apart. And in a way it is, but for the better. And it may not feel that great when it's happening, because as every crisis and change and transition, it feels uncomfortable, awkward, uncertain, scary, unnerving. And it can seem like everything's falling apart. But at the same time, it's an opportunity for everything to fall back into place, and that's why and it feels heavy at times, because you're clinging, you're trying to hang on to this armor, this way of doing things, but the armor feels too heavy. The mask is starting to slip, right? You can no longer keep pretending to be who you're not and to live in a way that doesn't honor who you are on every level. And so something inside you starts whispering at this stage of your life that says, I can't keep living disconnected from myself anymore. I can't keep living disconnected from my pleasure, from my joy, from my passions, from my body, from my heart, from my feminine energy, from my aliveness. And that's what midlife is calling for, right? And your body is giving you all these opportunities to change, to upgrade, to transition, to transform. And that is truly a sacred portal, right? Our perimenopause and menopause are sacred rites of passage. They are sacred portals that lead us to becoming our true selves. And I want to say, and coming back to pleasure, I want to say that I really want you to understand, I really want you to remember that pleasure is not shallow. Pleasure is not self-indulgent. Your pleasure is intelligent. Your pleasure is not frivolous. Your pleasure is feminine power. Your pleasure is not meant to be a reward for doing more. It's what fuels you to be more. Your pleasure is directly aligned with your life force. Your pleasure is your life force. It's your feminine fire. And for decades, you've been living in a loop of overfunctioning and under-receiving, always giving and rarely replenishing, and running on adrenaline. And you've been running on adrenaline, right? And so as modern women, for decades, we have been running and living in a loop of overfunctioning and under-receiving, always giving and rarely replenishing. And we've been living from the neck up, right? And forgetting this whole other part of who we are, running on adrenaline, running on high cortisol, running on willpower, on force of on pushing, on caffeine, on getting it done no matter what. But it's not true, but it's never true nourishment. Midlife comes along and it is a divine disruption. Midlife says, my queen, midlife says, listen, queen, you can't keep doing what you've been doing. The jig is up. You need to prioritize yourself. And the time is now. And midlife whispers to you, and you know you've heard. I know you've heard it inside. There's more. You deserve more. You want more. You are more. You are worthy of more. I know you felt that because I've felt it. And I know so many other women that have. And that's why your body starts to speak louder. Your body, she is perfectly powerful. She's a portal. She is a messenger. She is the activator. And she's not broken. She's just begging for your attention. Your body, she wants you to slow down. She wants you to listen. She wants you to soften. She wants you to feel again. She wants you to honor yourself again. She wants you to reignite yourself and reclaim yourself again. And she wants you to receive again. And that's where your pleasure rebellion begins. When a woman in midlife reclaims her pleasure, pleasure becomes your rebellion against burnout, against numbness, against self-abandonment, it's how you reclaim your life force. It's how you reconnect to your feminine energy, your intuition, your sensuality, your joy, your passions, your desires. It's how your pleasure is how you remember that feeling good isn't optional. It's essential. Pleasure isn't just about sex. Let me be clear about that again and again. Pleasure is about your life force. Pleasure is about aliveness. It's how you breathe deeper. It's how you move slower. How you eat with presence. How you touch with intention. How you rest without guilt. How you live in full color again. How you feel, express, and receive joy, passion, connection, intimacy, creativity. Because here's what no one tells you. A woman who is well-rested, well-loved, well-pleasured is an unstoppable force. She is magnetic. She is creative. She is radiant. She is confident. She is aligned. She knows what she wants, and she gives herself permission to feel it, to experience it, to receive it unapologetically, boldly, and guilt-free. A midlife queen who owns her pleasure, she leads differently. She lives differently with grace, wisdom, and embodied confidence. And I want to now dive deep into why pleasure is so important. Also from the aspect that there is an energetic link between pleasure, power, and worth. And midlife is the perfect season to rewrite your relationship with pleasure. And we're going to dive deep into also how numbing and overdoing disconnect you from your pleasure, from your life force, and how there's simple embodied ways where you can begin to reconnect with your body, with your desires and your pleasure. So let's now dive into how pleasure becomes the portal to your next level identity and your fulfillment in midlife and beyond. And remember, this isn't about indulgence. This isn't about self-indulgence. This is about alignment. It's a clear distinction, because when you are connected to your pleasure, you are connected to your life force, to your feminine energy, to your truth. And that means you make better decisions. You stop tolerating misalignment. You magnetize opportunities, relationships, and abundance that match your frequency. And pleasure is not the opposite of power. It's the evolution of it. The old paradigm that, there's this old paradigm, this old narrative that women in power are all about control, achievement, and sacrifice. And that if you're a successful woman, you kind of put your personal life and your pleasure and your feminine desires and passions to the side. And that is the old BS narrative. We're going to unhook ourselves from that, and we're going to understand that the new narrative, the new midlife, where you're in your midlife queen era, teaches that power is about embodiment, that power is about living in alignment with who you are, with your heart, and that there is a coherence, an integration of your fullness, your wholeness, right? Mind, body, energy, heart, and soul. So your life becomes aligned. Your life becomes integrated. Your life becomes meaningful and filled with pleasure, passion, joy, connection, abundance. And when you move through life from pleasure, when you move through life from pleasure, from desire, from joy, from ease, you stop chasing and you start attracting. You stop performing and you start becoming. You stop proving and you start embodying. This is the energetic upgrade midlife invites you into. This is the pleasure. This is what I call the pleasure rebellion of midlife. And it's a beautiful thing. And the moment you decide to stop living numb and start living turned on to life, to yourself, to your body, to your purpose, to your passions, to your desires, to your heart, that's when your entire life begins to change. And when you start living in alignment with your pleasure, with your joy, with your desires, with your passions, in alignment with your body, and you stop living from the neck up, just running on logic, productivity, and perfectionism, and you reconnect with your pleasure and with your body, that's where your real wisdom lives. When you reconnect to the truth of who you are, and that's how you remember yourself. Pleasure is how you remember yourself. When you start listening to your body, honoring your desires, allowing yourself to fully feel and to be fully alive, to stop abandoning yourself for approval, to stop numbing yourself and your truth with busyness, and to stop telling yourself that being half alive is good enough, you begin to glow from the inside out because you begin to reclaim your life force. You begin to reclaim your feminine energy, your feminine wisdom, your feminine fire. And that glow that I call the midlife glow up is what every midlife queen embodies and radiates. That's embodiment. That's alignment. That's magnetism. That's your inherent power and worthiness returning home to you. That's you realigning back to who you've always been. That's already inside you. You just need to reconnect to it, reclaim it. And midlife is the perfect time to reawaken your sensuality, your desire, Pleasure heals burnout. Pleasure is the medicine, the antidote of burnout, of disconnection, of emotional fatigue. Because when you are allowing yourself to experience pleasure, it is automatically, in order for that, in order for you to experience pleasure, you have to allow yourself to feel connected to your body first and foremost, to feel safe in your body. That means that your nervous system has to be calm and regulated. And that allows for you to be connected. And you can't be numb. And that allows you to feel. And that allows you to experience and receive. So all of these things are what reclaiming your body and reclaiming your pleasure are about, and why it is such, and why reclaiming your body and your pleasure as a woman in midlife is such a radical act of self-leadership, of self-reclamation, of self-love. And remember it's not just about sex. It's not just about sexual pleasure. It's about the foundation of living well. When you reclaim your pleasure, you reclaim your voice, you reclaim your passion, you reclaim your desires, you reclaim your boundaries, your aliveness, your magnetism, your sovereignty. That is what the feminine revolution in midlife looks like. That is the feminine rebellion. That is what the midlife queen era is all about. It's not about chasing youth. It's not about being who you were. It's about reclaiming your life force. It's about reclaiming your life force. It's about coming home to your body and to yourself and letting her lead. So now take a breath, drop your shoulders, close your eyes, and let's do a little somatic exercise to start opening the door, start tuning in, and start aligning with your pleasure in this moment. And we'll simply start by connecting to your body, to your breath. Relax the shoulders, relax the jaw, relax the neck, soften the eyes. Tune in to your heart, tune into your breath. Take deep breaths in, really filling up your chest, your belly. Let everything expand as you breathe in, and then exhale through the mouth. And feel free to make an exhalation sound. Our bodies release and move and activate energy through in three main ways: sound, breath, and movement. So breathe in through the nose and then breathe in through. So let's incorporate all three. Breathe in through the nose, filling up the chest and the belly, and then exhale and let it all out. Feel free to move the shoulders, stand up if you need to, or stay seated or laying down, but really incorporate the whole body as you breathe in through the nose and then let it all out. And as you breathe in, feel into your heart. You can place your hands on your heart or your hands on your belly, connect to your heart, to your womb, and just invite that connection to your body and allow yourself to relax, to feel safe in your body, safe to feel, safe to be in this moment, safe to feel whatever comes up. There is no right and wrong. And simply open up the space for your body to be a safe space, a safe vessel, a safe portal for whatever emotions you've been carrying that want to move, whatever energy, whatever feelings, whatever may have been stuck and is ready to move. Whatever wants to move, let it move. Breathe it out. Move it out. And as you breathe in through the nose and exhale softly through the mouth, I want you to remember that this isn't about fixing yourself. It's about feeling yourself. There is nothing inherently wrong with you. You are absolutely lovable, worthy, beautiful, capable, magnetic, powerful, just as you are. And it is safe for you to be fully, freely, and fiercely who you are here and now. You are a woman in midlife who remembers, who is remembering. You are remembering who you are. You are remembering your worth. You are remembering your pleasure. You are remembering your passions. You are remembering your desires. You are remembering your joy. This is your invitation to start paying attention, to start feeling more, to start allowing yourself to soften more, to give yourself permission to explore what you desire, to explore what brings you pleasure, to explore what you desire, and breathe that in. And you can repeat with me. I am a midlife queen, worthy of all my desires. I am a midlife queen who is ready and willing to prioritize her pleasure. I am a midlife queen who is ready to come back to my body, to honor my body, to listen to my body, and to give her what she needs, what she wants, what she desires, to give her more joy, to give her more pleasure. Pleasure is my birthright. Pleasure is my life force. Pleasure is my power. And I embrace it fully. I am ready to experience and receive all the pleasure that life has to offer. And really feel that in, breathe it in, receive it, let it land in your heart, in your womb, in your body. Remember, we are aligning our mind, body, energy, heart, and soul in a state of coherence with how we want to feel, what we want to experience, with what we desire, with what we long for. And that is how we start becoming. That is how we start embodying. That's how we start transforming our life and turning all this into our reality. By aligning everything, everything is coherent, our mind and our heart, our actions, our embodiment. That is how we become and step into the midlife queens that we were born to be. And as you breathe in, use this last moment to really land deep in your heart. Receive all of that for yourself. You deserve it all, my beautiful queens. You have gotten this far. You are in the middle of your life, whatever stage you're in, your 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. You have made it here, my beautiful queen. And this is only the beginning. This is a rebirth. The best is yet to come. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I want you to remember that this is your permission. This is your reminder to take back the forgotten language of your pleasure. As little girls, you were radiant, curious, playful, joyful, alive. You didn't question your joy, you lived it. You didn't question your desires, you followed them. And then came the conditioning. Be good, be nice, be humble, be productive, be this or that. So it's time to reclaim. Reclaim your pleasure, your joy, your freedom, your desires, your passions. Because a life without pleasure is a life without aliveness. It's a life that's disconnected from your life force. And you're here to live your most beautiful, passionate, dreamy, fabulous, meaningful, joyful, and alive life. So today I want to leave you with pleasure as your compass. Listen to your body. Listen to what brings you pleasure and give yourself permission to feel it, experience it, enjoy it, and receive it more and more and more in your life, and watch your life force bring you back to life. Thank you so much for listening. I am so happy to have you on the other side. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a comment, tell me how it made you feel and what your takeaways were from today's episode, and share it with another midlife queen, and share it with another midlife queen who you think might enjoy it. And get ready for next week's episode. All right, my beautiful queens. Thank you again for listening. And as always, crown on and rock on, my beautiful queens. I will see you next time. Mwah.